Hey, welcome back to What the Biz. Today, we are breaking down the true cost of free sales calls and how giving away your how-to kills your sales conversions. But we're going to introduce the right kind of friction to you today so that you can find more clients, more revenue, more profit. We're jumping in right now on What the Biz.
Welcome to What the Biz, where we talk about building successful businesses, balancing life, and all the WTB in between. With your hosts,
I'm Bridget Vector.
And I'm Dan Prochko. What's up? Welcome back. How you doing, Bridget?
We are here. I'm good.
Yeah.
Good.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Spending some extended time in the heat and sun lately that we've been having.
It's been insane. Absolutely nuts.
It has.
I don't like it. It kind of like all started close to Jenny's birthday, actually. And we had an outdoor party. And we were so worried, but it was kind of mild. But then like the next day, just ratcheted up to like 95. We've been inside for the last few days. I've got cabin fever. Yeah. I've got like chores that aren't getting done. I've got piles of things sitting around. Like, it's bad. It's just like if somebody showed up right now, I'd be like, "Are you okay?" It's like, "No, I've been living in a cave for 5 days just because it's cold
and it's
here."
hot.
It's something like, yeah, it's hot outside. No. Yeah. So I look like it's like hermit. It's where I'm at. It's all hermit. Yeah.
We're in our extended like break that we do to enjoy the summer, and I'm like, man, the heat came, and that's okay. We are still going to enjoy it. So yeah,
Cool.
And lots of we have a lot of onboarding conversions happening. Lots of payroll software changeovers for some new clients. Desktop to online. I have a lot of clients coming to me right now with feeling the breakage, right, of what they currently have for softwares and systems, and they're like, we just need to get up to date and make this easier. So we have a ton of software conversions happening right now.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I would guess that there's probably a lot of efficiencies of using the online platform, of being able to direct connect more easily to bank accounts, getting things synced in automatically, and not just banks, but other platforms, et cetera, that just make things easier than using a desktop version for sure. So yeah, cool.
I think they're feeling like their growth, right? They're like, oh, we're growing and we can't have the broken systems anymore. So
yeah. It's amazing how long one can sit with certain manual processes before it's like, what have I been doing with my life?
Yeah. I'm one of those too. So no.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 100% right. We have been in the midst of, I think I've talked about it, but we've got 4 websites in the works right now that we're working on. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's fun. It's so cool. We've implemented some new processes, some new design stuff, and it's been so much fun. And like next week, I've got this branding session I'm doing with a client to work on their website. And it's just so cool hearing these stories of like how they come up with these ideas, why they exist and what they want. And it's a blast taking that story and bringing them something that it makes it real for them, you know, especially, I mean, the one next week we're working with, it's a winery and they've had a website for a while. But it's created by a firm that never listened to them about what they wanted and just has put stuff up and has changed things, etc. And it just doesn't reflect who they are. They're like a fun urban winery that does like, you know, line dancing and tastings, and they've got like a book club actually, or like some poetry club or something, like whatever. It's just like all this community stuff going on in the space, and none of it is online. And it just looks like corporate-y winery. It's weird. It's
like a run-of-the-mill normal.
Yeah, but
it doesn't
even
showcase their uniqueness.
Exactly. There's nothing unique about it. It's just like stock photography with no people in it, and just really boxy, no brand flair of who they are or anything. It's just so it's rough. Yeah. So we're looking to have a lot of fun with that one.
That'll be a fun project. Definitely.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And it's funny because I found them at the farmers market of all places.
Nice.
I know. I stopped at the thing and just said, "Oh, hey, oh my God, I've never heard of your place, etc." And they're like, "Oh, we've been around a few years." I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." you have a website, everything. And they're like, oh, we don't like it. Don't go there. I'm like, oh,
you're like,
we build websites. How can we help? Like we've done, hundreds, and tons, and just like, I mean, maybe. And like, so I did a discovery right there on the spot with them.
I was going to say.
Farmer's market. Yeah. And I know this is the topic we're talking about today. I did. Yeah, 100%. Like, and there's Jenny, we're there, and she's just like, oh, Dan, come on here. It's like, yeah, look, it's our business. It's what we do. Nobody was waiting in line. So yeah, I talked with them for a bit and whatever, and hit it off, and turned out that we fit quite a bit. So we then had a sit down to hammer out some of those details, and yeah, Bob's your uncle. And so that's when we're working with. It's fun. I'm looking forward to this branding session. But I think that's a good segue into today's topic, where we're talking about discovery calls. Now you brought this up a bit. You came at it from a really interesting angle from a bookkeeping side about the numbers and the cost that goes into discovery calls. Because I know, as someone who's done tons of sales, I have done so many discovery calls, and I don't think I've really ever looked at it from this point of view before.
Yeah, it's come up more recently. Like, I feel like this is one of those topics that kind of just like, it cycles through. Like, it kind of dies off and then it comes back up to fruition. And I've come to realize that I think it comes forefront when businesses are hitting that next level growth phase. Like, they're growing through like a really hard place. Like, their time is limited because they're busier, but they need the sales. And, I took a look at this for one of my clients, and I put it in a dollar perspective for them. So I'll give you kind of the backstory of that client, and throughout today when we're talking, I think we'll have other like math examples that really, I don't know, it kind of hits you between the eyes of like, holy cow, that's really costing me time and money. But this client, they are a home, like a handyman service. It's two women that own the business. They're phenomenal. Like they kind of tailor themselves to like a project that hasn't ever gotten done. A lot of women like working with them because they like having women handyman in their houses. But they were getting into this world where they're so good at like design and like explaining, bringing a project to life, that they were finding they were going for like in-home like consultations or discovery calls. And they ended up spending hours with these business owners for free, right? And so I even took it back, and I'm like, even a 15-minute conversation for a business owner can cost a ton of money, right? So if you have like let's say your billable rate is normally $100 or $200 an hour. If you take every like small pocket in your calendar that is going to a discovery call, and we're going to talk about this because there are some that are great and there are some that are not. It can be a huge drain, not only on your time, but your profit margins too. And so like for this client, putting it in perspective, we've made quite a few changes to their business and kind of what they do give away for free and what they don't. But this is a silent leak in my mind. I see a lot of money leaking when it comes to the discovery call process for business owners.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking a little bit about math, but like 15-minute call, if you're having, an hour a day, of discovery calls, which is really low if you're a pro salesperson, like that's really low. But 15-minute calls, if you just have an hour a day, okay, just think about what your production rate is if you're charging hourly for something. For some service businesses, like a cleaning business, it's like $70 an hour could be lost. If you're larger, like us, it might be more like $150, $200 an hour that you're losing. But take that over a year, okay? I mean, you've got 5 days a week, right? 5 times 52 weeks times that's 5 hours. That's 260 hours. You multiply that by, let's just say $70, maybe your service, but I mean, you're close to 20 grand, you've lost out on 20 grand, kind of in that, it's one way to look at it. But then you're talking about, like you said, if you're going deeper into these consultations where you're going into the how, you're going to get it done and what the project all looks like and everything, without having a commitment. I mean, you're talking hours. You could be, like you just said, you might have done like a 2-hour consultation with somebody that another company might charge for, you know, and there's some pitfalls there. So huge costs, you know, huge costs here. And I think that's the biggest pitfall in a discovery call, is to look at it like, oh, I'm here to show I can do this, but that show I can do this is you're showing them how to do it. Yep. Which is the mistake. You know, a discovery call has a very specific purpose in the sales cycle to identify if whoever that contact or business or group of people we're speaking with or getting to know is, can we work together? And do we understand how we're going to work together? Not what's going to get done, not like how it's going to get done, but like that process for working together. Do we agree with it? You know, it's not the like for websites, for instance, because that's what I was just talking about. It's not, you're not going to have a whole design session for free telling them here's what it's going to look like and all of the stuff, because then they can just take that and take it to somebody else who can just build it, you know, for cheap on that level. And it's that expertise of what we do. That's what people pay for. So discovery call is very, very specific.
Well, and I think it's like being a business owner is not just being a business owner, right? This is the psychology of sales coming into play. And if you don't have training or expertise there, it is so easy to do it wrong in the discovery call phase. I mean, I don't think I have great sales closing rates, but I know that there's more that I can do better myself, because when you think about it, if you're getting on a discovery call or even have like your in-person conversation, right? The psychology of people buying, it is so quick for them to either so like when you were talking about giving away the information or telling them how, or like giving too much, like in most business owners' minds, it's like, no, I'm showcasing that I'm the right person for this job and all the reasons why. To the buyer, they just got this like sense of like excitement and like it's possible. And then they start to think, well, maybe I can do this myself because they just gave me all the how, or maybe I can take this information and find somebody that's a little cheaper, because we all know buyers are very money conscious, right? And so we unknowingly or unintentionally sometimes talk ourselves right out of this prospect working with us because we're being too helpful or trying to sell ourselves too much in these calls. Yeah.
I think what might be a good thing right now is for us to talk about what a discovery call is and what you're trying to get out of a discovery call. And make sure we'll see how we both think about this, which is kind of cool. For me, a discovery call is, I use a system called BANT, you know, for my discovery calls, BANT. B stands for budget, A stands for authority, N stands for need, and T stands for timing. And those four things, in my experience at least, and there's other ways to look at it, but those four things really constitute everything we need to know, can we work together, okay? Because like if we're misaligned on budget, like they don't have budget for what it costs for us to do it, we can't work together. If I can't ever talk to the authority person who makes the decision, this deal probably isn't going to close, you know? If I can't connect the pain they're feeling or the need that they have with our service and solution and make that emotional connection, it's never going to happen either. And then timing, is this the right time? You know, are they thinking, oh, they're starting in the next couple of weeks. Oh, but we don't have room in the next couple of weeks. Or can they wait longer? Or do they have a cycle where, oh, we're talking about a project for next year. Do I even have what I need in place? And are we aligned there? So those four things for me are really what a discovery call is all about. And those sound very easy or simple, and that's on purpose. That's great, because a discovery call doesn't have to be complicated. But some sales can be very complex, where that need piece is really, really deep and you're really digging in, but you're not giving away how it's all going to happen. We're digging into what people want so that we understand what we have to put into our proposal and how we connect that need to our capabilities, et cetera. You know, so for instance, when we talk about websites, you know, I can go through an example here real quick. So like for budget, yeah, we can build a website for a single lump sum. But then there's a whole conversation on how are you going to manage it? Who's going to take care of it over time? You know, building a website and having one is not just your 3,000, 5,000, 7,000, whatever that is to build. there's hosting, there's management over time. And so we talk with the client about that. That creates other opportunities for us. Authority, website, who are the people who are going to be using it, but then also who's paying for it. We talk to the business owner to make sure it's for that need. What are the capabilities does it need? Does it need e-commerce? Does it need a blog? Does it need an event calendar? Do people need to be able to register through it? It's a private backend for employees. What does it need? And we don't say how or what tools. We just ask what those are so we know, can we do it? Do we have, that capability? And then timing, like by when does this website need to be live? Does that fit within our process? And we make sure we align on our process as well. Of here's what we do when we build a website. And if the client says yes to all of those things along the way, okay, we tend to get a client. And sure. And so one of the ways I've also heard this explained is that the job of a salesperson is to get people to opt out of working with you without shooting yourself in the foot. Like you're not trying to sabotage a deal, but you are trying to help them understand how everything works, what you can do so that they say no. And why they say no. So there isn't a miscommunication. And so then they're out of your pipeline. But when done correctly, you close about, one can close, 80+% of deals, So that's been my experience. And that's what I see a discovery call as being, touching those elements.
I agree. I think we have moved away from, and I think we are actually helping some of our clients move away from having to do all of that on an actual call. So for like my company personally, we've set up like almost this pre-qualifier. It's very short, but they kind of answer those like checkpoints of like, do you have a budget of this amount? Like, this is where our packages start. Like, are you on QuickBooks Online? Are you willing to change? And like, if they select anything within there that disqualifies them, they kind of get put into this other funnel of ours where like they are getting different touch points, but not necessarily invited to like a full calendar. Like you can schedule a meeting with us. Like, it's kind of like, hey, if you're not willing to use QuickBooks Online, we aren't the greatest solution for you because that is our software. However, in the future, if you choose to, or like they get kind of drips of all the reasons why they should, or like why that could be a great software. Yeah. The client that I was talking about specifically, we have started to implement the same kind of thing. So like when people are coming to them for projects, it's not that they can't have like a quick conversation with them, but they like point them to this new like intake survey that basically says like if there's certain pieces of the project that they don't fulfill, so like they don't do outdoor work, they are not electricians, like there's certain things they don't do, they can disqualify them in the process and just say, there's pieces that are not the best for us. So I think the BANT piece is kind of solved in some ways. So then when I do get on a call, my goal is in the first like few seconds, I'm just making sure budget is still like those main pieces are still like forefront. Because otherwise there really is not a great outcome to that conversation for either party, right? Like it's a waste of their 100%. Time and then a waste of our time. Because when I think about that too, like I used to be really giving of like, it's just 15 minutes. Like, what does it really hurt? But as we were talking about, like your focus goes away, and it adds up to a huge amount of time where I'm like, couldn't a lot of that time, it's not true money, but couldn't that be going to better marketing that brings in those ideal clients before I even get on that discovery call, which I think is in your arena, right? The branding, the messaging, like how are you talking to who you want to work with and not wasting anybody's time on that discovery, that discovery call. No, like when I get on that, I want to make sure like we're just solidifying we're going to work together great. Like now I'm meeting you, you're meeting me, and we're just hashing out the logistics of what exactly do you want, and here's the package we're going to give you to solve it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think doing that band, earlier on, or getting those details, the opt out element, I think that makes total sense. When I talk about the discovery call, of what's on the phone and what's not, some of it can happen before, and it should. And if you have those systems, that's wonderful, because what ends up happening is that those companies that aren't going to be a fit, to your point, are just opting themselves out, in a way. And so you don't have to waste time with them, because they're never going to come around. Those are the worst clients, where you try to shoehorn them in to doing something your way, or you try to do it their way when you know it's not going to work, because you've proven something already, so those things are great. I will say, I always love talking to clients that are already bought in, like prospects that are bought in and already are totally ready to go with what I want to do. And that happens through content and through marketing. That's the whole point of it. You build this thing. And so I love that, in your system, it's, oh, you're not willing to change? Yeah, we're not going to work together, but here's all the information you should know as to why. And who knows, over time, their mind might change and come in or not. And you've saved yourself a headache. So that's absolutely awesome. But on that point, I think what people are hearing is, maybe thinking is like, okay, but it's so easy for me to get into talking about the need and going down that consulting route by accident. And I just wanted to share, and I don't know if you have some ideas on this, but I wanted to share a couple things, because we went down that route quite a bit too early on, because we thought we were proving our worth. We were proving we knew what we were talking about. It might come from imposter syndrome a bit in that way. And, through conversations with some of colleagues and mentors, et cetera, we then created basically an audit system, where it's just like, oh, you don't feel right yet, you want to see X, Y, Z. Well, what we can do is we can do an audit, or like a consultation, whatever you want to call it. It's a paid consultation. And so we created that system where we would come in and do this consultation or this audit, where we would then leave them with this plan of, here's how you're going to move forward, but it's paid for. And if they move forward, if it's a project, that cost of the audit is part of the project costs. That's how we think about it. If they spent like $1,000 on the audit and the project's $10,000, there'd only be $9,000 left, so we take it away. Or the way we look at it is that it is an extended discovery, but because we're giving them a roadmap, there's huge value to that, because they can execute on it. They can find other partners to execute on it. And so that has a value that needs to be paid for. And so we have found that mechanism to help with that, where there are those who are like, well, I want to go deeper, et cetera. Oh, well, here's what we can do. And so I just bring that up to others listening. If you run into that a lot, I think having an audit or a paid consultation in some way is really the best way to handle that. Because if they're not willing to spend a few hundred to figure out how to work together, they're probably not going to be a good client to begin with. So putting that little friction and gatekeeping piece in there has really helped us reduce that gray area piece where we cross over sometimes.
Yep. No, I love that. We do that. We do, like a diagnostic or an audit or a review of the where their financial systems are and their QuickBooks file is. And they get a full report out. So it's everything that we see that's costing them money, everything we see that is impacting taxes, and they're probably overpaying in taxes. Like every arena, they get a full report out. And then if they choose to move forward with us, either with services or a cleanup, which we've never done one that hasn't required something to be fixed ever. So I would challenge somebody to be the first. But
yeah, everybody go to Bridget, everybody challenge Bridget.
Be our first.
Yeah.
But they walk away with an action plan, right? And then if they choose to work with us, they get that money off their first month or off their cleanup services. The handyman service business that I was talking about, we've encouraged them to do the same thing. So if somebody wants them to come in to do like a design plan or really outline like what is going to happen in that like handyman service, charge for it. And then if they move forward with you to do it, you can take it off from, like the final project cost.
Yeah. I find that to be the best. I find that to be the best way to do it, because it's kind of a risk reversal too, a little bit. It's like, oh, I do have to pay to come. You're doing a service for me, but I don't know if I'm going to use you. But if I do, at least what I'm paying is going to be coming off the full element, because you would have had to have done this anyway.
Yep.
You know, and so there's that piece to it. Yeah.
And so, like, I would encourage anybody listening to this, if you don't have something inside of your business that can, one, give you more information, because like you're like what you do, Dan, it's giving you more information to make working with them easier. When I do it, I'm getting all the information I need to know for what we're walking into with the financial systems to get them to a place of being better, right? Because if either one of us, and probably most of our listeners, if our clients don't feel like they got to a better place, then we didn't do a good job providing our services. So like, it's a value for us too, because we know what we are walking into and we can outline the plan a lot better, and we're being paid for that expertise. So if you don't have something in your business that you can offer as that, like, hey, let's do this simple thing together. This is how I get to know you, and outline what I'm going to provide you, how you get to know me, and you get to see an output, like tangible product from me, whether it be a plan or an outline of whatever it is, right? It's a low cost way to see how you would work together, and you both get value. So if you don't have something in your business to offer during that sales or discovery call for like the next step, I would encourage you to find what that is. Like, what's kind of that bridge between the full service or the full thing to like have a kind of in between offer.
Yeah.
And practice that sales piece for sure.
Oh, of course. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Practice.
I think that's probably the most important part of the discovery call is, how are you going to sell that next step? Not so much of learning all that you think you need to learn about the prospect or sell yourself. How are you selling that next step? Because that next step will sell you at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think what I am curious about, what ideas do you have that you can share? You shared a bit about what you do, but maybe more specifically about how can we get some of that information ahead of time so that we know how we're going to engage with them and opt out and not waste time. For example, you have like an intake form of some kind, and I think that might be one of the simplest things, is just having a form at the beginning of engagement with you that asks certain questions that are like non-negotiable kind of things. To your point, like your form says, are you willing to use QuickBooks, or do you currently use QuickBooks, or some such question? And depending on the answer, that's a real key point of whether they should work with you. And so, yeah, anything else come to mind on that front?
I would say the intake form is the best. We talked about content, or you started touching on content. I think that is almost like a gatekeeper. So like your website, your social media, any funnels that you have, even your calendar links. So you can set up your calendar links to have questions that they have to answer before they even like click the time. It's not as betting as like an intake survey type thing, right, but you still get information that you could look at and maybe say, oh, they might not be the best fit. Maybe we get more info. I have a few clients who, like we've talked about, and we've set up the intake form to get more information. And in between that and the calendar, they're dripping like informational videos or emails to these prospects of like, this is what it's like to work with us. This would be the next step here. And like the most frequently asked questions that they get. And so almost always they're getting on that call that's scheduled. And that prospect has had almost all of their questions that they probably would have asked on that call answered, to where they're either asking great follow-up questions or they're already sold. They're just like, hey, I know I'm ready. Like you prepped me enough. Or they thought of something different. And now hey, maybe I should add this into my like pre-informational items. But they're getting to know you, right? So if you can drip them information, like I was the handyman service, I was like, do you know how many people probably have questions about like what's it like when you come to paint? If you could have a video showcasing like the process, like just set something up when you're doing your next job and just kind of like put audio over it. And they've already been like, oh, that's like them being in my house. I am so there. I am so signing up for this. Think about those kinds of things. And it's amazing what you can do ahead of that discovery call to not waste any more time than you need to.
Yeah. I think form, I agree. Form is the easiest, you know, so think about what are the questions that you ask? Can they go in a form? And the one thing, you know, I always say, and our clients are like, but if the form's too long, don't we turn people away? Yeah, you do. And there is a sweet spot, and you're going to have to test. Like maybe you're like, oh, 40 questions. That's a lot. Maybe we want to get it down to 10. You know, maybe you want to get it down to 10. What are the 10 most important, or the 8 most important? And I wouldn't go further than that, because part of that is also you're asking for contact information. But what are those key questions that you need to know? And based on the responses, do you know how you're going to respond? I think that's step one, is figuring that out. And then I love that piece about the drip of here's how we work together in those next pieces. Here's what to expect next, etc. I absolutely love that. I think I'm going to go and just start developing all of that all of a sudden, because there's so many things I'm like, oh, yeah. Because I always say, you know, the more you can demystify what it's like working together, the more people will say yes and want to start, because you've removed all of that uncertainty. You know, it's just like, oh, I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm getting. And so many people want to keep things mystical because or like secret, because they think it's like, oh, that's my expertise. It's like, no. Your expertise is the execution of, but telling them how you're working together, like the process, not, you know, exactly what gets done.
Yes.
But that process and stages of working together, that's relationship building. And so you really need that along the way.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to say, to start that form, this came into my mind as you were talking. Start with your non-negotiables. So like if you have a set of things that if somebody answers one way or the other, that you would disqualify them from ever working with you, those questions should be in that.
Yeah.
So if it happens to go over 10, it goes over 10. And if somebody can't answer those 10 questions or 12 questions, then you probably don't want to work with them anyway, because you would be asking those same questions on a discovery call. So if they can't get through your intake survey, how great are they going to be to actually work with?
Yeah.
And I don't say that as like, come up with 12. I just mean start with your absolute. So like us, if you will not move to QuickBooks, if you're not already on it, or if you are on it, you're good. But if you won't, you're automatically disqualified. And that's like one of our first questions, because why make them answer anything else if that one piece is definitely like out? And so that's the best place to start. Just think about the things in your own business that would instantly disqualify a prospect, and that should be on that survey.
Yeah. I want to say, when creating those questions, you might feel a little worrisome about what we're asking or what you might want to ask. Don't just ask. For instance, one of our non-negotiables is access to the website, like as an admin, so that we can edit it, etc. If you're not willing to give it, we can't work together, because we then can't put our tracking and analytics and show you actual results. And in not budging on that one, like we just can't work together, period. Another one that we have is, are you willing to protect time for our monthly meetings? You know, and do you have an issue with scheduling? And so ask about that. We haven't been as great about that one. And so this is now my inspiration to get better at that. Because if you can't show up to our monthly meetings, one, you then don't get that baseline every month of how we're performing. But two, we also don't get to plan for the future. And that puts us behind moving forward. And it's very difficult to move forward. And so we've been talking about a strike system for clients of like, how many have you missed even, and stuff like that. And so like really important. So if you have certain non-negotiables of just like, you know, I don't know what it would be, but kenneling a dog because you clean a house, you know, will you kennel your dog for us, etc. If they say no, yeah, we're just not going to come. But if you're pet friendly and you don't care, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, ask the question, whatever that non-negotiable is. Don't be embarrassed about asking it. There are plenty that will understand, and it will make your life so much easier because you will be filtering down to the clients that you want to have that are willing to work together.
And even if it's a financial piece, I know people try to steer away from it, but if you won't work with somebody, if they can't invest a certain amount, say it. Like, just say, do you have X amount of dollars to put towards this? Or if it's a monthly, can you budget this amount monthly to work together? And if they say no, you don't want to waste your time on that call. You don't want to waste their time on that call. So don't be afraid of asking the money questions either. And I know a lot of people are, because they're like, I'm going to ask that and I haven't gotten to showcase my value yet and blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. But that means somebody's coming to you with unrealistic expectations of what your expertise should truly cost them. And you don't want to work with somebody who isn't willing to pay what your bare minimum is.
I mean, look, they came to you to have a sales conversation. They came to you to talk about your services. They know they're going to talk about money at some point. There's no reason to run from it. Actually, the sooner you can have that conversation, the sooner you can get to the value piece without that hanging over everybody. Because the worst conversations I ever have is where we're talking about the service. We've not talked about price. Everybody's like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's everything. By the way, it's $1,000 a month. Oh my God, we have 300. Okay, we shouldn't have even talked. The last 20 minutes were a waste. We should have had that conversation first. Can you invest X per month? And if the answer is no, we're not going to be able to work together. Like, there's just no way to make this happen.
Well, and if it goes that way that you just described, their deflation and letdown of them being like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I am so excited. And then being like, oh, I can't afford that. Like, maybe they would have been able to in the future. So if you would have had like the precursor,
right?
Maybe it's something they would have said, I really want to work with them. It's going to be 6 months from now. So I know the budget. Let me set up that money. But if you get on that discovery and you do everything else and they're all excited and inflated for it, and then you burst their balloon, the likelihood of them coming back when they can afford you is very little because of the way that they felt in that moment.
Yeah, the order matters. It's very interesting. And so many people are like, oh, but if I talk about money first, everybody thinks I'm just about money. No, they don't. They came to you for your services. Your services cost money. Just have that conversation. You're not, and they're not even looking for you to give them an exact quote off the bat. Like, give them a range of like, hey, our average customers are within this range. Is that an issue? Or are you opposed to moving forward knowing that? Like, that's it. You've set the stage. You're gonna spend between here and here with us. It's done. Like, I know anytime I call anybody, it's like, I know this is going to cost money. Let's have that conversation first. Because when you tell me all the awesome stuff that you do, I don't want to be disappointed at the end. I'd rather be disappointed at the front, so. And
if all the free stuff worked, they wouldn't be looking for you in the first place. So, you're going to get rid of the tire kickers, the bad fits. You might see your calls drop. But if you're having 10 calls a week and you're not closing them, like, the cost of that is astronomical. But what if you drop to 3, but you have a 90% or more close rate on those 3? Not only did you get more time back, but you got a better sales system. That is a win across the board.
Yeah. I think the only last thing that I want to say about discovery calls is there are times where you're going to hear what sounds like a no, and it's not a no. Meaning, like, somebody says, oh, I really want to start right now, and you can't start for 2 weeks from now or a month from now. I don't know that we can work together. I don't hear a no there. I hear they want to work with me. I need to figure out, can I create this system? Like, is there a problem with making a project maybe go a little longer than what we usually have? For instance, like with websites, there's like asset, acquisition that we have to do. We got to get logos. We got to do, a brand workshop. We got to do certain things that isn't the build. And then there's like approvals along the way of different designs and mood boards and copy and other pieces. So when I think about like, oh, you have a problem with starting from 2 weeks from now, but the website doesn't have to be live for X number of days. This is weird. So maybe I just have to rethink my process a little bit and say, can I start now, but do something that isn't as intense for the next 2 weeks so that they feel we've started and they can get what they want still by the date that they had in mind. So we hear these things in discovery calls, and it's really an opportunity for us to not change our system. Okay, I know it might sound like I'm saying change the system. All I'm saying is work within the system you have to create that wonderful outcome for the client.
Yep.
I mean, like for us, like doing a discovery form of like initial branding stuff for a week, really simple to do. We don't have to have a branding workshop right off the bat. And then the second week, asking for certain assets and getting them to load them into a folder. These are things that we can do that will take the client like a week to complete, if not two, to be honest. It always does. So the fact that they're like, oh, we have to start now, not in 2 weeks, is just like, fine, okay. I can create this little 2-week process that then helps that branding session be more effective anyway, and takes very little time from me and my team. So those things, like when we hear the timing, the need, the budget, we can be creative with those elements. A client says, oh, I can't spend 10 grand. Oh, but can you spend 500 a month for X number of months?
Yeah.
Like if you're willing to spread out 10 grand that far, over 20 months, like there are ways we can look at these things to find solutions. So even more reason to have these conversations quickly, effectively, so that we can have time to find these unique solutions that we're comfortable moving forward with that still fit within our systems.
Yeah. I think that was a great point, that it's not always a no.
Yeah.
Not always.
Not always. Exactly. A no is not always a no. And I know it's just like the whole point of sales is to get a no. Anyway, most confusing discovery call combo ever. No, I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I think there were some really good things in here around that good friction. I really like that whole conversation around good friction to filter people out. I think that's really the biggest key point out of discovery. But yeah, cool.
And not wasting your time.
Yeah, not wasting your time. And to that point, I think it's a great place to end that topic. Just one quick thing before we move into our What the Biz, which I don't know if we have one for today. We'll find out in a second. But one quick thing, Google has just rolled out an update to their search algorithm. It was completed at the end of June, so just a couple weeks ago. It was a spam update. And it was a multi-week rollout, et cetera, but it was targeted at programmatic content farms. Let me translate that into.
I was going to say, can we put that into?
Yeah, exactly. So the normal speak of that is anybody who is generating content using AI and just publishing right off the bat. So we're using programs to create content and putting it out there. So content farms or scraping networks for SEO, they are penalizing all of that. So if you are using AI to generate blog posts, to generate video scripts, et cetera, and transcripts, et cetera, and you're just publishing it directly without doing any heavy work from a human side, you're going to get impacted hard and negatively. So you should look at your traffic, look at your search indexing, et cetera, of those blog posts, because it's going to be negative. And Google has said that if you do go back and improve all of those posts, it's actually going to take months for the system to recognize it and give you the positive attribution. So basically, it's a real incentive to not do it from the start, because it's harder to recover from these kinds of negative dings than it has been in the past. So they're really trying to crack down on all this AI slop generation.
Yeah. I like it. I'm glad they're cracking down on it.
I love it. I love it a ton. I think it's awesome. Yeah. Cool. Heading into What the Biz. You have a What the Biz today.
I have one. So
nice.
Yes. So it's like a win and then a frustration, and I totally get why they're doing it. Okay.
Cool.
So there is a local donut shop that obviously makes their donuts fresh every day, but they make a very limited supply, like almost to the point that I think I'm trying to figure out if it's on purpose, because they know they're always going to run out, which I totally get for like, you don't want too much inventory and waste and all of the things, right? But unless you're there very early, you're probably not getting the donut of your choice, because it's become like this frenzy in some way.
Right.
However, they have started to add in like an update, like a social media update of like, oh, inventory is getting low. You better get in here. And then like if they're out, thankfully they finally say it. Now they sell other things, like they sell drinks. They have breakfast sandwiches, smoothie. It's not just the donuts, but let's be real. If you're going to the donut place, that's probably
you're going for donuts.
For yeah, I mean, they're fat-free, guilt-free. It's all fine. So I have a love-hate with this. I really do. Like, I understand on one hand what they're doing. My math accounting brain is kind of like, you guys could sell more. And the piece that I love is like, I think it's great that you're saying that you're out so people don't waste their time, but you just lost the foot traffic of somebody coming in to say,
yes.
Oh, like that's not available, but that breakfast sandwich looks good. Or maybe I'll just get a protein smoothie. And so I'm kind of like, is it hurting you or helping you? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Marketer, how would you feel?
I love the manufactured scarcity. I love that piece a ton. Because obviously it's created this culture, and they did it right because it created this culture of everyone's rushing in to get early and earlier and earlier to get it. And they're not creating more so that they can sell more later in the day. You know, there's nothing worse than like giving yourself just more work for the sake of more work. And so I love that a lot. I agree with you. I don't think they need to say when something is sold out. I think they should let their customers share that online that they've sold out, or have some way, or something in that realm where somebody shows up wanting to get something and it's sold out, and they're just like, oh, why don't you take a photo, you know, and like share that it's sold out, you know, or have like a, I don't know. That's like shaming. Like it's like that's not the right.
Like you missed out today.
Like you missed out today, kind of cut out on the wall. I missed out today. I'll come earlier tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think that's the right way to go about it. But I think there's something around that. Oh, they sold out, and then don't worry about. You know, I think the word of mouth is really the biggest thing. Of like everybody saying, make sure you go early because they sell out. I think that is so powerful that they don't have to do the whole online. We're about to sell out, etc. I think that word of mouth piece is awesome. And just within their social media, they should just be saying, oh, we just have limited runs of everything every day. You know, we do that because we believe in, you know, work-life balance, whatever that reason is, work-life balance, etc. We don't, you know, we love what we do and we just want to do this. And so make sure you get here early to get it. You know, over time, you know, what's funny is the value of those donuts could go way up.
That's
true.
Like,
you know, like they might sell a donut for $2.50 or something like that. But if they keep going with this and their donuts are really good and going well, they could sell a donut for $6. You know what I mean? Because of the scarcity. You know, so they just need to run with that. But yeah, saying, oh, we sold out, I think you're spot on. They are just losing out on foot traffic, you know, because say they open at 6 a.m, close at 1. Somebody's like, ooh, 11 o'clock. I'm going to go real quick for an early lunch and see if they still got the donut or late. And they don't. But they would have purchased potentially a different donut or, like you said, a smoothie.
Something else.
Yeah. So, there's something about that scarcity and having to, when you get it, it's like, oh, I made it. I got there on time. There's something awesome about that. So
I like that idea. It could almost be like a fun, like, they choose somebody that posts something for a discount every now and again, or like, oh, we'll save your favorite thing this week, you know, or something.
Oh, nice.
Like,
yeah.
They could totally post in the morning, like, oh, the 10 apple fritters we're gonna have today are going into the display case. Who's gonna get one? And like,
see that I like so much more. I like that so much more of saying, they just came out, here they are. That is so much better than like we just sold out, because it's like, okay, cool, but let word of mouth handle that, in my opinion. You know, build the buzz. The disappointment travels by word of mouth, but that disappointment is more of an excitement of, will I make it next time? So that's how I see that. Yeah, totally. Cool.
I love this topic. I think there's a lot of businesses that could use the power of like excitement and buzz, like to their advantage, and 100%. Creating that frenzy. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's a wrap on another episode. And I just really want to say thank you
everybody who's hanging out with us here today. We both know your time is valuable. So thank you so much for spending it with us. If you found something awesome in today's episode, let us know in a review, Spotify or Apple Podcasts, best place to do it. And if you're not following us on YouTube, check us out and subscribe. If you've got a topic you want us to cover on a future episode, check out whatthebiz.com. And you can check out all past episodes there as well. But until next time, keep building, stay proactive, and we will see you on the next one.